What's up, guys? It is I, RGT85. Hope you all had a very good Halloween. I had absolutely zero trick-or-treaters at my new place, but that means I have a lot of candy for myself. So, I don't know, maybe I'll hit up some single moms and be like, yo, your kid needs some candy, come through the crib. But of course, we got some video game news to talk about. So if this is your first time on the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Be sure to like and share the video as well. And without any further ado, let's talk about what's going on in the world of video games. And we're going to start things off with an interesting partnership that was announced late last night. Now, this involves two companies, Sega and Microsoft, by extension Xbox, of course. And when you look at Sega and Microsoft, and by extension Xbox, it's been a very interesting relationship with them since pretty much the dawn of time. I don't care what anyone says. The original Xbox was the Dreamcast 2. It was the spiritual successor to the original Dreamcast. When you look at things like the online infrastructure of it, which was way advanced on the Dreamcast, that sort of carried over to, of course, the original Xbox. When you look at games for the original Xbox, games like Shenmue 2, games like Jet Set Radio, games like Sega Rally, all these huge IPs that Sega had, and maybe games that Sega were working on, ended up coming to the original Xbox, most of them as exclusives. So the groundwork is definitely there for them to have some sort of relationship. Of course, there were rumors that Sega would be potentially branding the Xbox Series X and Xbox Series S in Japan as Sega properties, and I think that would have been really cool. Obviously, the whole point of that would have been for Microsoft to basically get a stronger brand imprint in Japan, because nobody really cares about Microsoft and Xbox in Japan. Whereas if you say Sega, like, people tend to freak out because Sega is still very popular over in the land of the rising sun. Well, last night a new partnership was announced between these two companies, and upon first inspection, I think a lot of people are taking this the wrong way and they're not fully understanding what this actually means. But when you look at it, it's really not quite as big of a deal as some people are making it out to be. But like I said, there are some interesting implications of it. So basically, Sega and Microsoft have agreed in principle an alliance that explores ways for Sega to produce large-scale global games in a next-generation development environment built on Microsoft's Azure cloud platform. Now, this is basically Sega's Super Game Initiative, which is something that had been talked about a few months ago during a Sega press conference, and nobody knew what the hell Super Game actually meant because they didn't really explore upon it. But this is essentially going to be doing that. So some people are like, well, Microsoft's buying Sega, they're buying up another company, we're gonna get a new Jet Set Radio and all this stuff. And it's like, no, because if that's the logic that we're going to use, then I guess Microsoft is also buying Sony, because a few years ago, Sony and Microsoft actually entered into a partnership to utilize Azure's cloud-based platform to basically help with things like games being globalized for online play, making better, servers and things of that nature, because that's what this really has to do with. So it looks like Sega is going to try to make online-based games and use Microsoft's Azure cloud platform in order to do that, to make sure that these games run and look good on the whatever hardware they come out on. So it's an interesting business deal for sure, because it does open the door for more things. Obviously, you could do a lot more with Sega than you could a company like Sony, but as far as Microsoft is buying Sony or Microsoft is buying Sega or something like that, it's obviously a lot of hyperbole and maybe just people holding on to the past and hoping for good things in the future. I mean, Sega of the 1990s is not the same company as they are in 2021. Like, I'm a huge Sega fan. Like, look at all these Sega related games: Genesis, Master System, Import, 32X games, a complete 32X library. Then of course we go down to the Sega CD, Sega Saturn, the Dreamcast down below there. Like, I love Sega games, and I do wish that Sega never went away, but they did go away, and they're never coming back in the full capacity that they once were at as far as hardware manufacturing. And even if Microsoft did buy Sega, like, it wouldn't bring them back to prominence. It wouldn't bring them back to the forefront of gaming. It's just something to, think about historically, something to relish in, and something to enjoy, especially if you were alive during that time frame like I was, because it was a great time. So this is an interesting business decision. Obviously, Sega is working on some more online-based games, but beyond that, as far as Xbox becoming Sega or Sega becoming an Xbox thing, that's not what's happening with the situation, so don't look too deep into it. And finally, if you follow any Nintendo site pretty much on the planet, a weird story probably popped up on your Twitter timeline. It was all over Facebook, and of course it was all over these websites, involving the N64 Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack, and people being upset with it. Now, this is something that we've chronicalized a lot on the channel. We've talked about the positives, we've talked about the negatives. I talked about my personal experiences with this. If you missed that video, make sure you guys check it out. But I think everyone can agree, even if you love the service, which some people really seem to, there is room for improvement. There's always room for improvement. Nothing is perfect, especially with these online services, because you can always expand upon them and you can always do more. But yesterday, this story kept popping up, and I've seen so many bad takes on it that I had to make it the title of this video, and I had to just sort of poke fun and maybe give a little business lesson for you guys as well. So the whole basis of this story is that the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack trailer is now the most disliked video on Nintendo's YouTube channel. You could take a look here. I mean, yeah, I disliked it, but I was cool. I disliked it when it was first done because I thought there were some odd things about it. We got over 1 million views. We got 122,000 thumbs down, 17,000 thumbs up. Now, the original game that was ahead of that was Metroid Prime Federation Force, which deserves every thumbs down in the world. I absolutely hated that game. They pretty much almost killed off the Metroid franchise with this game. I don't care what anyone says, thus getting 97,000 thumbs down, 11K thumbs up at 1.5 million views. Now, that's the beauty of YouTube. You can express yourself. If you dislike a video or you disagree with an opinion, you could basically say, well, I don't like this, I'm going to give a thumbs down to you. But a lot of people are starting to like run with this and just go in a completely bizarre direction because I don't think they quite understand business. So maybe this will be a bit of a lesson for you if you are on the fence about this or not quite understanding what this means. Will this force Nintendo to basically go in and fix the Nintendo Switch's online expansion pack? No. Obviously, Nintendo is probably working on some fixes for this. They don't want to release a bad product out there. Nobody wants to release a bad product. You know, a bad game can be bad at its core and maybe it's just not a fun game, but still you want the game to be functional. And that's what they want with the N64 portion of the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack. They want it to be decent enough. They want to make money on this. But will disliking a YouTube video force them to do this? Because I've seen that take pop up so many times in comment sections, and it's like, I don't think you quite understand how business works. Now, let's look at this at the surface level. This video has 1.1 million views on it, and the fact that it has 122,000 thumbs down, okay, whatever, but it still has 1.1 million views on it, which means that, well, Nintendo's making money on this video. I mean, some of my most viewed videos are reviews of games that people completely disagreed with me on. The games like Crash Team Racing, which is the best Mario Kart clone in the world, and Dead by Daylight, which is the funnest game in the world. Those videos have more dislikes than likes on them, but people are still watching them. People, whether you're hate watching it, whether you completely disagree with me or not, you're still watching that video, thus making me money. So this, watching this and going and disliking it, you're still making Nintendo money on this. But there's the bigger portion of it as well, is nothing is going to really change or substantially change unless the service is a complete flop. And let's be realistic, you know, it hasn't been a complete flop from what I've seen so far. A lot of people are playing these N64 games, and maybe these N64 games were designed for a more casual audience. Maybe it wasn't supposed to be, you know, oh, look at these games 1-to-1 on the N64. It's not the same. Why did they do this? And the reason would probably be because Nintendo kind of half-assed it a little bit. But that's the only way there's any going to be like a massive change or anything like that, would be the fact if people just did not pick up the service, if people just completely ignored it, or it just completely went away and nobody put money into this, because money is what drives all these companies. Look at the original 3DS and the launch of that system. Nintendo had to change the price of that system because nobody was buying it. It wasn't because people were disliking a YouTube video. It wasn't because the hardware was necessarily bad, because I thought the hardware was freaking great. I really liked it. I bought it on day one. I actually got it at a midnight launch, me and my buddy. And like, we love that system, but it wasn't selling well. So Nintendo had to adjust the price of it and give consumers a bunch of free stuff. Basically, what it boils down to is you have to speak with your wallet, because sometimes controversy creates cash. And the whole fact of the matter is, you could dislike a YouTube video all you like, but it doesn't mean that it's going to force a change. The only way to force a real change is to sort of just, you know, talk about it. It's to sort of discuss things. It's to sort of not buy into it and not spend money on it if it's something that you're not happy with. There's more than enough resources out there. There's more than enough YouTube videos with video footage of these games running on the N64 Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack. And like I said, I have tons of problems with it. I think the emulation should be a lot better considering these are, well, Nintendo games running on Nintendo hardware from original Nintendo hardware with the N64. The lack of a button mapping is absolutely inexcusable, but I still find a little bit of fun with it. And once I get my N64 controller in from Nintendo's website, which I managed to order one of those when they did a restock of it, I think the experience will get a lot better. So you have to speak with your wallet. You know, disliking a video or something like that's cool. Maybe it makes you feel empowered or something like that. Hell, there's somebody that dislikes every single video that I upload the second I upload it. They are subscribed with notifications turned on just to dislike the video when it goes live. And you know what? Thank you. You made me money. You made me ad revenue. So I appreciate you. And I'm sure Nintendo appreciates you too. Alrighty, so that is going to do it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Be sure to give me your feedback in the comments section down below. Yes, the rumors are true. I have an arcade video going up hopefully sometime this week. I'm just waiting on a sponsor approval. It's not a sponsor for the arcade or anything like that. It's just a random sponsor for the video. They wanted to run an ad on it, so we shot that last night, edited that, sent it over for approval. So hopefully we'll have that video up next week because there's a lot of stuff I want to show you guys and a lot of stuff I want to talk about. Also have the gaming setup as well, what I have in here, all that sort of stuff. So make sure you be on the lookout for that. And as always, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Be sure to like and share the video. Go Knicks. We play the Raptors tonight. First place in the East. Suck it. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Later. MILFs, hit me up. MILFs, hit me up. I got the candy.